We're almost done with fixing the cheap wide body kit on this 800 horsepower Mercedes AMG GT, and in this video we get it into final paint. So with that said, let's get started.
Just dialing in the body line a little bit better. After this is in primary, we can see all the edges and all the lines just a little bit better. So it's just the last bit of fine tuning before this thing goes into paint.
Just masking it up right now for paint, yeah. I gotta put sealer down on the front bumper, rear bumper, and then base coat.
The guys are finishing up this car, as you can see, but they needed a way to mount this emblem to this grill piece. Okay, if you show it from the back side, there's no mounting provisions for this to sit on. This aftermarket grill piece has no mounting tabs for the OEM badge to sit in. We didn't want to glue it in place. We wanted to have a way so it could come out in and out if it needed to ever. So then we decided to scan it, make some brackets, make like the tabs that we can panel bond in place. So these are the tabs that we came up with. These flanges here kind of support it in place, so it has more, I guess, surface area for the panel bond to sit through. I think we're gonna drill some holes through the little flanges so Brett can apply the panel bond and they encapsulate the whole thing as well. So yeah, so even with the tabs, just not even bonded in place, it has enough tension to keep the emblem in place. The emblem can be removed when it has to be. Yeah, so we'll print it out of ABS, bond it together.
Paint job's good. We went a little bit heavier on the clear, just so it gave us room to block it down and knock it straight. Whereas like traditional like collision shops, the procedure is usually like 2 coats of clear. I think there's close to 3, like 2.5 or so on this one. So just gives it a nicer finish, especially with jet black. You can see everything, right? So we're gonna straighten it all out, wet sanding it, and then give it a nice polish. It's funny because on this side, our finish is a lot nicer than the OEM AMG finish right here. Yeah, like you can see there's factory kind of texture and orange peel in the paint, and then that's our paint finish right here, just with a 1-step polish right now.
That's insane.
So we're gonna have to do something about the rest of the car.
Yeah.
Probably wet sand that out too, but it's crazy that these cars nowadays come with orange peel in the paint, whereas like earlier Mercedes, they actually had wet sand buff from the factory.
Really?
Yeah, so I think like S-Class, CLS, the E-Class, and I'm sure like all their AMG cars had factory wet sand and buff. But I mean now this is like a whole this is the AMG GT, and
you can
it's still
literally
like
see all the orange peel.
Yeah.
Like reflection. Yeah, that's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
We are starting the wet sand polish on the body kit. So we're gonna start getting this thing finaled up, get it put back together. But first things first is the wet sand polish everything. As you can see, the reflection's pretty crazy. I just gotta work the finish back.
Yeah, it looks awesome.
Yeah, it turned out pretty crazy.
Look at that shine is crazy. It's so glistening. That's insane. That looks so good.
Hold on, it's still got residue on it.
Still looks glorious.
Look at that.
Dang, dude.
Oh yeah. We always put a sealer down prior to base coat on most paint jobs, and this one was tricky because I had to watch out for paint buildup around the carbon edges. So I didn't want it to be an obvious transition or too much paint buildup on that edge where it's masked off, because there's no definitive line here on this. So I had to create a line for the masking for the carbon layout. So it was kind of tricky in the sense that I had to mask this off. I had to use my edge tape, which is like a vinyl tape instead of just a regular masking tape. And then we had to do sealer. And then I had to unmask that. I had to wet sand and smooth out and feather out that edge from the hard line of the sealer. And then I had to remask it. And then I had to do my base coat. So it was very tricky. And I had to watch my paint build up on this edge where there is the lines for the carbon break to the paint. So that was one of the trickier parts of the paint job. Otherwise, it's just a black paint job. It's no different than any other paint work that we've done.
This is all the low spots in the hood, in this carbon hood. Basically anywhere where there's body filler was where it was dipping in low. So this whole edge was like wavy, yeah. So body work is smooth. It's all getting painted.
Well, we just realized something when we took the mesh out, that this whole outer layer is delaminating from where it wraps around to the underlayer. Yeah, we're gonna have to bond it back together.
Of course, panel bond.
Printed these out of ABS, and then we panel bonded them to this aftermarket light that came with this aftermarket kit. And then I just measured everything out, drilled the hole, some stainless hardware, and I re-cleared it. It's been wet sanded and re-cleared with our better clear, because a lot of these aftermarket companies, they don't put good clears on these, or it might be even in resin for all we know, we don't know. So the safest way is just a wet sanded 2 coats of clear, and we know it's protected for UV. We got the hood all body worked on the top side, made it all nice and straight, because all the drop sections are going to be left in carbon, and the rest will be painted gloss black factory color. So we just flipped the hood over and we just started to prep this for a satin black paint job on the bottom side, kind of like an OEM look. But now, again, the cheap body kit strikes again. Basically started sanding this janky paint primer, whatever this may be, on top of the gel coat, and as you can see here, there's absolutely zero adhesion to the actual gel coat. The gel coat wasn't sanded prior to this satin black either primer or paint was applied. So now I'm left no choice but to actually strip all this primer off. You can see right here that, I don't know if you can catch that on camera, but this paint is not feather edging, nor is there absolutely any tooth on here for adhesion. So now we have to strip all this paint off the underside of the hood. Oh God. Just to be able to go to the next step. Now we'll have to prime this and sand it, or maybe get away with a sealer and then paint, because it's going satin, so it might not affect it too much. But it's gonna be another 3-4 hours of probably just sanding on the underside of this hood.
Oh my gosh.
The cheap body kit strikes again. So we stripped all that 1K primer off, and then now we just put down a Cree epoxy primer. So this will be ready for paint after we resand this one last time and then paint. Again, another reason why these projects take so long is because of these types of issues you run into while you're working on these projects. And then you can see all the fucking pinholes too that we're still gonna have to fix. This is fiberglass for you. And all this stuff was almost invisible until this primer went down. It's so very hard to see when it's just flat black. So I think when these people produce these body kits, they just shoot flat black primer on everything and it looks near mint until you start putting better products down or something with a little bit of shine, and then everything stands out, and then you see all the imperfections and flaws.
Moving it to the fab shop so those guys can start fabbing up the custom exhaust for this. Those are the intakes. The intake holes.
That's loud.
As Spencer said, we still have to build a custom exhaust for this thing. So if you want to see that and more as we wrap up this 800 horsepower AMG GT, give this video a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't. We'll see you all in the next one. Bye-bye.